Hey, if you're thinking about starting a travel basketball team, maybe you're a seasoned recreation coach, maybe you're a parent that, tried coaching for a little bit in recreation and now you want to take it to the next level and start your own travel basketball team. If that's you, I want you to check out this video. Um, these are just some of the things that I've learned over a bunch of years of coaching travel ball. I wasn't the best, but I certainly learned a lot, and I want you to learn from some of those mistakes. So I'm going to basically go over some of the biggest challenges that I think that new coaches face today, and also some of the probably the most important first steps that you need to do to start your team the right way. My goal in this video really is just to give you some of my lessons learned so that you don't make the same mistakes, or you make them less frequently than I did. So, let's talk first about some of the biggest challenges new coaches face. First is funding, right? Like, it's expensive. You're not gonna be able to fund this by yourself. You're gonna need some help. You're gonna need money from parents or sponsors. The basketball costs include like tournament fees, which can be $400, $500 per weekend per team. Uniforms can be super expensive. Gym rentals can be expensive. I think it's kind of, a mix. Some places, some teams might get it for no cost, maybe a local church or being able to use a school gym. But some of these places, the gym rentals can be pretty expensive. Travel costs too. If you're not in like a metropolitan area where there's a tournament every weekend within, quick driving distance, that your parents can take your teams to, you're gonna have to travel, distances to go to these tournaments, and it can get expensive. So you got to find ways to raise money and where to find sponsors. I'll tell you, I mostly did a lot of funding from parents, just figuring out how much the cost is going to be and just splitting it among all of them. There are some challenges in doing that, but it's certainly one that you can do. The other way is just getting sponsors. It's easy once you start. You just gotta go out and talk to local businesses and get businesses to sponsor. I leaned on my players to do that and their parents, so that's another option. The next thing is recruiting players. You might already have a team of kids that you want on your team, but just one thing, and I had an abundant number of players that wanted to play on the team, and I had more than enough. But as I quickly started finding out that I needed a certain mix of talent, right? I needed I needed the tall kid, I needed the point guard, and you just got to make sure that you have that. So, and you're also looking for those kids that are willing to give you the commitment, not just show up to games, or you want them there in practice. You don't want them just hopping around different tournaments, and you want them to commit to your team alone, and be there. You also want to find kids that are coachable, kids that'll listen, kids that'll understand what the vision is, what you want them to do, what the other players are going to do. So you don't want to struggle and start. And another thing too is if you grab the wrong players, and they are committed, but maybe they're just a headache or a nightmare, you just got to be cautious with that. You want to, you also want to know what the parents are like. Parents play a big role in this. If the parents are not easy to work with or they're difficult, it's going to make that much more harder. Scheduling and logistics. There's a lot of tournament ideas out there. There's a lot of different organizations. Each one of those organizations charges you a different amount to register. If fees are what you're concerned about, signing up for, this organization and this one, and you end up paying $100 to each to register and get background checks, I'm sure it'll be more than that. That's just an extra cost. So is there a way that you can just play in one organization versus signing up for multiple? That's something that I need you to think about when you're doing this. You also want to find, the right tournaments. One thing a travel basketball coach can easily fall into the trap on doing is going into some of these tournaments where you have all the Division I teams playing and you're not even close to Division III yet. You're going to get destroyed. It's not going to be fun. So you want to be talking to the organizers of these tournaments and asking them, hey, like, what's the, a good mixture of teams? I'm a brand new coach. I have a brand new team. I have very little experience on my team. Is this a good tournament for me? They're not going to sign you up in most cases if the tournament's not a good fit for you. So make those phone calls, send emails. Some other things with scheduling and logistics is just organizing practices and dealing with player, availability, right? Like kids have schedules. They have a lot of things going on. You want to be able to make sure that you're not having practice every night because not all your team's going to be there. Pick 2 nights a week, pick 1 night a week, use good time management skills, figure out what it is that you want to practice. What are your goals and objectives? I actually have a good handout. I think it's like 30 something pages that I created with, I don't remember the number of skills, but I basically put down essentially a strategy that I think first year basketball coaches in the travel basketball arena need to know. Covers things like the different zone defense, man defense, the different types of plays that you're going to need. It gives an overview of like what a basketball court looks like, what the nomenclature is, just in case you don't know. It talks about inbound plays. It talks about just some of the things that you might not be aware of that you want to know, and that knowing this information will help you kind of figure out what your practice schedule should look like, what you need to be teaching. It talks about press breaks. I mean, that's super important. This is something that you must know. These skills are things that you must know going into this. I'm telling you from years of experience. I do charge right now. I got it listed for $4.99. It's an easy grab. It's almost free. Depending on when you watch this video, it might be a little bit more, but I'll put a link to that in the description below. Check it out. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. But that's over there. This book is really just to make your life a little bit easier and not make this so much overwhelming. The next point that I'm going to jump into is just some of the most important first steps that I think that coaches or team managers need to be aware of before starting their team. I want you to do this the right way. So one of the critical first steps is just establishing a clear vision and goals. Like, what do you want your team to be all about? Do you want it to be that Division I team? If you do, you're probably watching the wrong video because this is geared more towards new coaches. Or are you that parent coach that just wants to create an environment for your, child and their friends and some neighborhood kids, and you just want to put together a solid team and just make a positive impact on their lives in the, playing basketball. What is it that you want? And those things there will kind of help guide you in where you want to go. Right back to where we talked about looking for the right tournaments. If you're not going to be that Division I team, don't enter Division I tournaments. If you're, look for those Division II tournaments or Division III if you have them in your area. You want to definitely understand the financial side. This is super important. Nobody's going to be able to start a basketball team, a travel basketball team, without understanding how much it's going to cost. And if that's you and you need to know how much it costs, I have a free download in the description below. It's absolutely free. You punch your email in there, it'll send it to you, and you'll be able to use that. It's like a Excel or not an Excel, but a Google Sheets document, and it pretty much has a budget template, right? Like, so you can put down it'll tell you that you need to know how much gym rental costs are going to be, and then you got to figure out how much your gym rental cost is going to be. It'll ask you to put in which organizations you're going to play with and how much those registration fees are. It's going to tell you that you need to pay background check for coach badges. It's going to ask you how many coach badges you're going to get and how much are they each. It's going to ask you which tournaments you're going to play in. It's going to force you to look up tournaments and see how much they cost and what their fees are to register them. Plus there's also a service fee, so don't forget that. And it's going to have you put that information in there. There's a couple other things, but it essentially helps you create a budget. So link to that in the description box below. That's absolutely free. I'm not charging for that one just because I want to make sure that coaches have that tool, because if you don't know how much your team's going to cost, you can't collect money from parents. You don't. It also helps you split up how much you should be charging your parents per month. So, that's absolutely free. Check it out. Yours to keep. And I kind of already talked about this, but you want to find the right players and families. I won't beat this one up too much, but I had a great time coaching. The parents that I had on my team were super awesome. They were extended parents for all the other players. You want that going into this, and you want that throughout your time doing this, especially if you're coaching younger players. You could essentially be coaching these kids and their families for years. So look for that when you're selecting your teammates or your team. And the last thing is really just the fun part. Register and get insured. You want to do this stuff early enough. You want to jump in there. If let's say you're going with the AAU, go in there, figure out how to do all that stuff. Sometimes the websites, the registration process can be confusing, but you want to get all that information in there. You don't want to wait until the night before a tournament, because you're going to need things. You're going to need things like getting the players' birth certificates and report cards and identification. And you're going to want to get all that information, and you want to get it documented, and you want to get insured too. And you can do that a lot of times with the organization you're going to go with. I'll give you an example. AAU, you register per player. There's a certain amount, and you can add like insurance on there for like $2. And now everybody's insured for whatever tournament, whatever organization they're going with, and your practices. So a lot of good things there. Hey, listen, this was just a video for those of you who are thinking about jumping into a travel basketball coaching spot. You're looking at how to figure out how to team. What are the things that you need to do? This is what this video is all about. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave questions down in the comment section below. I'm usually pretty quick at answering them, and I look forward to helping you do this in your journey.